But here it is. God's plan was sometimes God will use you not as bait, but he'll use you as a reward.
Yes.
God allowed Israel. God held them up so they could catch up. Sometimes God's got to slow you down because there ain't enough people seeing you go through yet. How about this? You making what you going through look too easy. God got to slow you down. You making it look like you're not going through. God said, slow down a little bit. I need some more people to catch on to see you going through. And so he slows them down enough that Pharaoh and his people can see him and say, now look at here, he a bad general. They God must be don't know who I am. Look at it, he got them up against the Red Sea. They can't go forward. Watch this, they're at a dead end. They're at a dead end. Come on, finish that verse for me.
They are entangled in the land. The wilderness have shut them in.
It done shut them in, simply meaning they're at a dead end. How many people ever been in your life at what you felt was a dead end?
Amen.
I'm trying to live right. Here it is. They're living right. They're walking right, but they're stuck in the wilderness. They're stuck at the sea. And not only is they're stuck, what they was running from is after them, and it's getting closer. See, here it is. Your faith is not really faith until it's put to the test. You say you trust God, but can he put you at a dead-end situation? Can he allow, watch this, can he use you to deliver somebody else? I've learned the things that I've gone through in life, it took some minutes for God to finally get it through this hard head, but he wasn't doing it to make me bitter. He was doing it to make me better. He was doing it to show me what I said about him. I believed it because I walked through it. Somebody said there was a dead end. Here it is. And Pharaoh thought he had him, and he followed after him, and he thought he would get him. But we all know how that story ended, don't we? In other words, in God, there is no dead ends. Because he reserves the right by the power of his word to cause change to happen. And simply meaning, well, your enemies thought they had you blocked in. God reserves the right to make a highway at any time in your life. God will open a door any time in your life. Remember, he said in his word, any door I open, no man can shut. And any door I shut, no man can open. He opened the door and allowed you to go through, but then he shut it when your enemies tried to come in. God want to use you to deliver some people. He want to use you to show himself mighty to some people. But here's what he needs you to get to understand. What tried to take you down didn't work. And instead of having a pity party, you need to look in the mirror and say, I'm still here. I'm still here by the grace of God. I'm still doing what I needed to do by the grace of God. I may not be eating steak, but beanie weenies are fine with me. I'm still here and I'm still eating. God wants us to be able to celebrate what he's doing in our life. But we keep complaining about what has happened. So here it is. He wanted to use the situation. Somebody say a dead end. The dead end was meant to close us out. The dead end was meant to make us think that we couldn't make it. The dead end, when he was showing me the dead end, God was showing me all of the possibilities that was on the other side of that thing. But if I only looked at what I was looking at, I was become immobile. And that's what the devil has gotten many of us to do. We've stopped because we see the dead end. And us don't know how us gonna make it. That's my best English. I know my professor loved that part. Us don't know how us gonna make it. So we stay there crying instead of trusting God for, Lord, if you brought me here, there must be another way. God, if you brought me here, you must be getting ready to do something mighty. God, if you allowed me to go through that to get here and then this is shut off, God, what you getting ready to do? See, you need to learn how to smile when everything looks like it's working against you. Because the Bible says, if God be for you, see, you got to understand, be for you. And be for you means he's for me, but in many cases it means he's already gone before me. And he's made a way for me to get through. So that's the first point on this. So watch this. The first point is what? The first point is how God will want to remind us that dead ends are it reminds of our limitations and our need for divine intervention. In other words, while Moses and them was there, Moses wasn't worried because he knew if God told me to come, God's going to give me the next instruction. The next thing you know how to do is you know how to need to learn how to wait patiently on the Lord. See, Moses didn't just get to the Red Sea and say, Lord, what we going to do? He began to wait for the instruction. The people start complaining, but the man of God, the woman of God, they didn't complain. So if you're going to really love God and be a child of God, we've got something. Look to your neighbor and say, neighbor, stop that complaining and just wait on God. God will never bring you in a place that he can't deliver you. And then God spoke to Moses that night. He said, now Moses, take that staff that I gave you. See, here it is. Your deliverance has already been given to you. The tool you need to get out of it, he's already given it to you. You just got to wait for him to tell you how to use it. He said, Moses, take that staff and just stretch it across the water. And all night, Moses just took that staff and stretched it across the water. Somebody said, why it took that long? Well, I've been in the Red Sea. It's going to take a minute, especially if you're going to walk across on dry ground. But don't worry, while he was doing that, God was holding your enemy back. So the thing that you would think that's going to come and overtake you, God had a pillar of fire keeping that. God always has distance separate between you and what's trying to overtake you. Quit worrying about people who praying against you. Quit worrying about people who talking about you. That's why God told you, pray for them who despitefully you. They don't see what you see. They don't have the faith that you have. They don't have the way that's going to be made that you having to be made. And if anything, they just keeping your name flowing across God's desk. Come back, Platts, you might be saying too much. Here it is. Then the next thing he does, somebody say a dead end. God will use a dead end situation as a stage for his miraculous work, showing that he can transform your situation and deliver you. Sometimes it has to be that way for people to see God. You'll never see God except God did something. Make sense, anybody? Here in this story that we just read out of Daniel, the king saw God through Daniel. How I know? Because it said he was troubled all that night. If we read the periphery of the text and kept going, and all of a sudden he ran. Now here's the man who just sentenced me to be in the lion's den, but he got up early that morning. Why would you come and ask if I'm alive if you put me in a den of lions and put a stone in? See, when they rolled the stone in front of the den, that made it a dead end. Nothing couldn't get in, but nothing couldn't get out. And here's the thing. I found out I do a lot. I like to watch because nature emulates life. And I was watching this nature show, and I found out without training, all animals from lions to wild dogs to bears, to tigers, all dogs go for the jugular. They go to cut off the air supply. They kill their prey by grabbing around its neck and clamping down on the neck. Because they know first thing, they're going to keep you from calling for help, but they're going to cut off the air, because when they cut off the air, that's the part of the process of getting you out of here. For what they show where they attacked the zebra, first thing they did. But they cut off. And here it is. If you put me in a den with lions, the first thing they were going to do was going to go ahead and cut off my ability to communicate. But the first thing you do when you got to the cave, you yell to me and say, Daniel, has your God that you believe? See, here it is. Sometimes your enemy has more faith in your God than you do. Because they've been watching how you've been. Thank you. Come on, clap with him. They've been watching how you've been living. They've been hearing your testimony. And so when you got in trouble, they just knew God was going to deliver you. He may not be going to deliver me, but I know he's going to deliver you. He has to, how you love him. See, watch this. They knew that it'd put God on the spot if he didn't deliver you. If you can hold on, I'll make the abstract concrete. Daniel, what got Daniel in trouble is that Daniel was consistent with his prayer to God. Daniel didn't get in trouble because of him doing something violating his position. Amen. He got in trouble because people were envious of him, and the only thing they could use against him after they had the king sign a decree that said, anybody worship any other god for 30 days, we're going to put him in the lion's den. And the king, being unaware that they was trying to, see here, your enemy is going to try to plot against you. They're going to do all kind of things to get you. They're going to have legal documentation that's going to be written in their favor to cover you. But don't worry, you serve a God who knows how to get you out of anything. You serve a God that can deliver you out of anything. God, watch it. God allowed the king to sign the document. God allowed, watch it. But here's what Daniel's faithfulness was. He knew they were looking and he still prayed. I got to deal with it. Because, see, the reason you're still here is because you've been consistent. He knew they was watching and he still prayed. Here's what God don't want you to do. Here's what you can't do. When you go through, why do you change your routine? You were praying before it hit you. Now that it's hit you, why you stop praying? The reason it hit you is because you was praying. So the reason you're going to get delivered out of it is because of the same prayer. Do it make sense, anybody? In other words, if I was calling him when I was calling him on the mountaintops, why did I stop calling him when I went in the valley? He's still the same God, and he still rules the mountains and the valley. And here it is. So they were consistent about that thing, and they got Daniel, they got the king to sign, and the king put Daniel in the lion's den. In other words, Daniel's situation is here because it was envy. They envied Daniel. And because they envied Daniel, you know, at work, some people envy you. They may not never tell you to your face, but they're going to try to do all they can to discredit you. They're going to do all they can. I think I told you all about it on a job that I was working. I actually became a leader in my department because of the people. Because the people say he don't do what we do, and he don't do these things like we do, and we like to have our Halloween stuff, and he won't do it. I told him one time, if you want me to dress up for Halloween, I'll do it. But I want to come as a disciple of Jesus. And they said no. So that means I can't, because I want to cast out what y'all coming in the door with. And so they thought, oh, he's trying to be this and this. But they kept doing this and doing this, and they kept putting my name on the supervisor's desk, and kept putting my name on the desk. And they got time to promote somebody to be over the department that we were in. And the supervisor told me they couldn't think of nobody better than me, because I do this, and I don't participate in this. Nobody better than you. And watch this. The same people who tried to get me demoted, or the same people who didn't like me, they end up working for me. Ain't that something? But see, God knew he can trust me with it, because he knew, like with Joseph, he gave me enough grace not to step on him, but to step over to help. See, here it is. When your heart is conditioned the right way, you'll understand, even though you tried to get me, I'm still here. But because I'm here, I'm going to still be the same person. No matter what you tried to do to me. Come back, Platts. Let's hurry and get to where we need to be. In other words, all of them begin to come against Daniel. And when they begin to come against Daniel, Daniel had to suffer by going into the den. But going into the lion's den, Daniel still went in. But he prayed before he went in. And I'm sure he prayed when he was at the door. And I'm sure he prayed as soon as they rolled the storm. He began to pray because his testimony was God didn't have to come. God sent an angel. And the angel looked at the lion and said, I wish you would. I reckon the angel looked at the lion and he said, you're going to be vegan today. You're going to be vegan today. You're vegan today. You're vegan today. And so he's in the den with the animals that should have devoured him. But instead of devouring him, maybe one of them laid down and he became Daniel's pillar. You got to hold on, it'll pull you through. See, the thing that was set up to kill you, God will give you the favor to rest on it. If you can catch it, if you can hold on, I'm going to pull you through, but you got to catch it. Quit worrying about what you're in. If God put you in there, he's already conditioned the atmosphere to receive you. The animal probably say, hey, Daniel, I know you had a long day, huh? You can lay on me right here. This fur, don't worry, you can lay down. And Daniel rested. And when the king got there that morning, he said, oh, Daniel. He said, has thou God that you believe in? Has that God, has he delivered you? Why would you come a place where you know everybody else who's been in that situation couldn't answer? Why would you come and look for an answer in a dead-end situation? He should have been dead overnight while you were sleeping. He should have been gone. He should have been gone 15 minutes after y'all rolled him in there. But watch this. Maybe when they rolled him in there, they didn't hear him holler in 15 minutes. I don't know. Maybe they was in him and the lion was in there just looking at each other singing, I know God prayer changed things. I don't know what was going on, but it was enough that morning he ran. The king ran to the den and said, oh, Daniel. See, your enemies need to see how much you believe and trust God. That's why God lets you go through. That's why God allow you to go through. Because he know you know the key to whatever you in. The key word to it is called through. You wasn't meant to stay there long. You just passing through. God just needed a representative to show that he's still a healer. He needed a representative to show he's still a deliverer. He needed a representative to know that he's still a way maker. He needed a representative to tell somebody he's still a provider. He said, Isaiah 6, who can I send and who will go for me to show people that I'm still on the throne, that I still make a way out of no way. And you with your said, here am I, send me. Then you got mad when he sent you. Come back, Platts.